Welcome to CarSceneKorea. I introduce newly released Genesis, Hyundai, and Kia cars. And I have in front of me 2021 G70 Facelifted model. And this is the fully loaded option 3.3 liter turbo engine. If you are ever considering of getting a G70, this is the car you want. It's one with a sports package, equipped with loaded Brembo brakes, along with the black color wheels to match with the sporty look of the car overall. We have the older one going right next to us. I borrowed this car from Genesis for a real short quick time. It's going to be a really brief review, or just touch up on the exterior, interior. And on this facelifted G70, Genesis finally has completed its family look in terms of this upside down or inverted pentagon. This resembles, and it is actually a direct stretch of the Genesis emblem we see here. The shield is what this is representing, and these two wings that are stretched left and right are displayed with the DRL along with the headlights. And with this facelifted G70, finally Genesis completed the family look with the quad lamps left and right. And well, like the G80 or G90 and GV80 for that matter, also including in GV70, I don't really see the quad lights inside within the headlight right here, but I mean there are two here and two here. Putting that together, that makes up a quad headlights, quad lamps, I don't know. But once again, with this facelifted G70, Genesis has finally completed its family look, stretching out left and right along with that inverted pentagon. This finish of the grille is the ones that we've been seeing throughout the earlier Genesis G70, G80, GV80, and so on. And right here is that goldish, or more like bronze gold chrome finished that wraps around the chrome part of the pentagon. But this is only limited to the sports package. Regular model, you will just get silver chrome, the conventional ones. This area right here, the duct is actually all covered up except for this tiny outlet right here that is actually open and found right here. So not so much of adding into the cooling down the brake and the rotors for that matter, but rather it probably has to do with the disturbance of the airflow and help with the aerodynamic. And but this one right here, instead of the boomerang shaped fender design that they had before, they have a vent right there. And for this side, the funny part is the upper part is closed, whereas the below is open. And just follow me here, the vents right here are all open. So it's suspected that that's because probably that area has some device or some kind of a reservoir tank or something that stretches all the way out to and from the fenders. So that's why that's all locked up. And yes, if we follow through that one there, I see a chamber for the washer fluid. So probably something is sitting right here that they had to cover up the upper part of the vent. And having said that, we just pop the hood, the gas shock absorbers, of course, to match and go along with the premium brand Genesis, has the braces here and there that holds the car all together strong and firm. And that proud 3.3 liter turbo GDI engine that is sitting almost, I mean, just right in the middle of the car. And let's actually check the profile, and that's the center of the wheel, and that's where the engine is sitting. So nearly, or almost half of the engine is actually sitting inside towards the engine bay, of course adding on to more sharp, rigid better handling overall, and you know, lower engine, lower center of the gravity, always the better. But again, there isn't much of a time spent of me driving this car, and I can find these cars on showrooms, so I'll save that to for later. And I actually want to bring this car out and test drive it around with the time given, because this time around it's really hard to get your hands on with the 3.3 turbo model, especially the sports package. It has everything loaded up. Before I wrap it up, I just want to touch up on the rear part of the design right here. The upper one is the metal, whereas the below is made of plastic. So right here are where those two materials or parts meet. And as for the G80, it's been done with the same technique, but with the G80 they've gone through a meticulous touch and detail. So they put another big stretched out wing that resembles, or that's supposed to be, a Genesis emblem. So a chrome wing that stretches left and right with the shield right in the middle. And also they've done a great job, brilliant job, making that into a trunk button. So that's what they've done with the G80. But again, this is the G70. This is the little brother, little sister of the car in the family. So as for the exterior, they're still using the same mold, this taillight design. So they've done nothing for the rear fender right here, but except they changed a little bit of the bumper. They are stuck with the old taillight design, so they had to find a way and integrate these two lines, adding on to the Genesis's identity. And well, I don't know, like a lot of people seeing the spy shots, you know, seeing the film, seeing the photos on the web, some people hate the rear design, some people hate the front design, or some people just love the facelift design overall. I have the car right in front of me, and well, you know, I'm seeing other cars just passing by, and this sure does stand out. Like, this design is something. Although it's a facelift straight from the previous model's mold, and Genesis has gone through a lot of effort putting on the new design and the language inputted, but like, given what they have, I would really say that they've done a great job coming up with the design. That these lights are slanted, as we can see, and everything kind of just comes to the middle. Well, but overall that also sets a strong tone on the car, I would also say. So that's also the same case for the front of the car as well. The design, the front of the car, everything kind of is very centered. It all comes down right up to that edge of the shield. And well, I would say, you know, overall it's just very well balanced. We have another Genesis G70 coming up right next to us. So that's the previous model right there passing by. And the rear design is distinctive, as we can see. The exhaust tip is gigantic, but inside there are dual tips, and that's because this sports package has variable exhaust, and we can see the flap right inside right there. So that's a valve that controls the exhaust, opens and closes, so making the necessary changes. This reverse light is also added onto the Genesis G70, making a strong emphasis that G70 is a Genesis, and now she belongs to the family and carries out all the characteristics that all the other Genesis brothers have. Another distinctive design is definitely this plate. Previous model, they had the plate embedded to the rear trunk. However, now it's been moved down to right there. Alright, so we are driving the car, and right now I'm just putting it on the comfort mode. This facelifted 2021 G70, when it comes to the interior, hardly anything is changed. Previous model, there was a SD card outlet right here, so they deleted that one. Now it's wider, so there are more space for the buttons to fit in right here. But as for the other design, it stays the same, it functions the same. And one more thing is this part right here. I don't feel any texture to it. It is just another plain cover, but it has some kind of a detail right here. All the other buttons are still the same. The key has been changed to match up with the Genesis, the latest Genesis keys. But again, it's missing out that automated system. It's missing about 2 buttons. And the pedal shifter sounds like plastic, feels like plastic. Would have been nice if it's an aluminum, especially when they are targeting the young people of the generation. So it has enough of a power to drive around the city for sure. And I sure have no doubt that you can track this car, because even with the previous model, take it on a track, just swap out a little bit of a tire, and then should you really wish, you swap out the brake pads, and that's pretty much all you need to have fun at a track. Unless you're going like all out on track, of course you wouldn't really take your Genesis on a track for that purpose. But there's a huge difference when it comes to something that you can do and something that you wish you could do. You know what I mean? Alright, so we're just a few meters away from returning the car. So it's a sports mode. The exhaust note kicks in right away. And Sport Plus. So G70 is the first car to have this Sports Plus mode on. And as for the exhaust note, it stays the same with the Sport, but the car sure does feel very different when it comes to Sport and Sport Plus. The big difference that you would immediately see on your tachometer is on your Sport, it's just a different mode than a Comfort. But as for the Sport Plus, once you put it on, I feel the stronger engine brake engaging, and also the VDC off light coming up. And as for the gauge cluster, I personally think the previous one was better in certain way. I feel like it was more G70 oriented, and the design was more suiting and fitting the G70. So this UI is certainly and definitely the ones that we've seen on other Genesises. But one more thing when it comes to the interior, this 10.25-inch all new display is certainly something that you really need to have. It's definitely shorter than the ones that we see on G80 and GV80, but well, it serves a purpose. And unlike those cars, you can easily reach the very end of the digital screen. And as for the interior, they've carved out this part a lot to make the interior look spacious. And we know, it's not the largest car, it's not the family-oriented sedan, so especially for the second row, it's very compact and tight. But since they've carved out this part right here, it really looks spacious for that matter. And this quiltings, we've seen it on other luxurious Genesis and brands too. And this color, by the way, they come in a variety of color.